Sue Orton let me know that she would not be in attendance today. Cheryl Rose? Here. Thank you. Gabriela Guerrero? I don't see her here. Sheila Sudarwala?
Present.
Robin Wallen?
Here.
Wonderful. And do we have anyone else in attendance today who was not on the roll call? I see one call-in user who's muted. I don't know if IT can unmute that person so we can check in.
It's just. Oh, it's.
Hi, can the call-in user please let us know who you are?
My name's Edward James. I'm the chairman of the Public Education Commission.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. James.
Thank you.
We have a quorum.
Welcome, thank you. We need your approval of the minutes. I wasn't here last month, so I hope you review it. Move we approve the minutes. I got reviewed. No opinion. So who would suck it?
I will second it.
Robin.
Is that Sheila?
It's Robin Wallen.
Oh, Robin. Okay. Okay. Chairperson report. I tried to, I did an email and contact Brad, who's the assistant to Lisa, appointed city council person, and I have not heard anything. Apparently Cheryl has.
Yeah, I saw Craig at a function, and he said that they have put this in the hands of the HBA and they're getting their feedback like they did with us. So there is movement in that direction.
Thank you. I want to add that you would notice that I have vocal tremors. That's something I'm getting hopefully taken care of in early December. So bear with me with that. And Josh, I see your hands up. Yes, Josh.
I just hope that we hear from the HBA sooner than later.
Well,
I agree.
I think Craig and Lisa are on top of things. I mean, they were with us, they met with us, they took our feedback. They're doing the same with the HBA.
Like I said, I just
Trust
hope they are.
It's been a long process, I know. So,
Linda, if you sent them an email,
I
you make
sent
it.
him an email and I apologized. He hasn't
Okay,
responded.
so maybe you'll get some. What I got.
Okay. There are some other things I want to discuss later, see it's under new business, so wait for that, go on to the ADA coordinators report.
Thank you, Linda. This is Tana Lancaster. I'm just going to run through a couple items that I had. I know there was discussion about attending the county's Public Transportation Committee meeting. And James is, sounds like a visitor on our meeting today. And their next meeting is going to be December 9th at 4 p.m. And they hold these virtually. They are hosted on WebEx. So just like our meeting, there will be an agenda and a public notice for that probably in the week prior to the meeting. And I'll keep my eye open for that. And if anyone would like me to give them a reminder when I see it, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know that you're interested in that. I also wanted to just follow up on our last meeting. We had planning present and talk about the St. Louis County Comprehensive Plan. And Paul Weatherford had mentioned that feedback is being, accepted by planning for that. And also that there are other opportunities to provide feedback to the county. They're updating the plumbing code, for example. So if there are ideas that you have related to the plumbing code that you want them to consider, they are accepting information right now. And there may be other building code type opportunities where we could provide feedback as well. Just talking about what work I've been doing in my ADA coordinator role. Obviously, there's a lot of day-to-day. Some of the more interesting things that I can share with you are that I've been collaborating with Human Resources and our Justice Service Department to plan and work with them on testing accommodations. They added some applicant testing to their hiring process for corrections officers. So one thing to make sure to do was to be proactive and figure out what kinds of accommodations we needed to have prepared for. I'm also doing a lot of training for county employees, and in addition to doing our reasonable accommodation policy training, I also developed a training on Title II of the ADA, which covers how we provide services, how local governments provide services to the public, and our non-discrimination requirements related to that. So I have some training for frontline staff and for management staff that really talks about what the ADA is and how it pertains to how we provide services to the public, having good etiquette and interacting with people with disabilities, and understanding what our tools for inclusion are, things like reasonable modifications and auxiliary aids and services for effective communication. Now we have a lot to cover, so I'll end my report there unless anyone has a question.
I'm going to jump back to my report. I noticed you in that and report we have some vacancies and 2 of them are with agency. So members, commission members, if you know someone that could be recommended to the commission that works with the agency for people with disabilities, please send that by email to myself and Dana so we can refer them to the county executive office. But of course, if you make a recommendation, I'm making the assumption you've asked that person in the agency would they like to serve. So I don't think surprises. So we need to have 2 people appointed that represent agencies. So if you know anyone, that would be great.
We do have Sheila Sudarwala, who is representing Artists First. She is one of our members who is a representative from an agency that serves people with disabilities.
Not an individual with disability.
I believe that she may be both.
But we still have 1 vacancy for agency.
Yes.
The one vacancy, and then there's another one too.
We have a vacancy for an individual who has a family member with a disability.
For family member. So if any of you have any recommendation, please refer them to us.
This is Steve Harris. Question, does that person need to be somebody who works for an agency?
Yes, like for rehab service for the blind, Easter Seal, Paraguay, some type of agency like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, we'll move on to old business. And Sue or gave synopsis of her older adult commission, but I'm gonna have Dana read it because of my voice. It's hard.
No problem. This is the report from the Older Adult Commission from Sue Orton. She noted that the group reviewed Paul Weatherford's presentation and commented that the commission should be represented at the various listening meetings. They discussed again the implementation or planned implementation of a senior fund initiative, and they've scheduled that for 2026. Dan reported on the progress he's made in getting a home repair network up and going. The network is something that could help low-income and disabled adults of St. Louis County. There was discussion on the senior tax freeze. Only St. Louis County taxes are frozen. Special tax districts like fire, police, school are not included in the freeze. This is something that people have misinterpreted. And that's her 4 points from that meeting.
Thank you. I want to welcome Mr. Ed James from the Transportation Commission. And also, I was told that we have a new representative from the Human Service Department. She was on the.
Yeah, I don't see Amber Banner on here right now. It was on.
Hi, Dana, this is Kevin McKenna. I can maybe answer on behalf of Amber.
I don't think that it's allowed for like the purpose of voting or for a quorum, but I appreciate having you on the call to, provide information.
Yeah, and I will gladly document any questions you have and bring that back for us to provide to the commission.
Welcome, Kevin. And Kevin, did you and I used to work together on housing in the past?
Perhaps. I was a part of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Task Force at one time, if that's where you're referring to.
Okay. I thought the name looked familiar. Welcome. And hope eventually I get to see you guys in person, Kevin and Amber. So that's my commission. So now we are assessing for transportation. As I said, Mr. James is representing the Transportation Commission. We had a lot of concerns about taxi service not being accessible. And I know that Robin has done a lot of work in that area. She's in a task force in the community. So Robin, would you like to speak on this subject?
This
Okay,
is it.
Steve,
Bobby, you have the floor.
okay, I've done a little bit of research. I know Steve Harris has done research. There's basically one taxi company in the area that has 2 accessible vehicles. I also reached out to VIA, which is the microtransit arm of Metro Transit, and I had hoped that one of them could attend this meeting and just give us some ideas of what they have done in other cities. But what happened was the person who was going to present was ill. Then we would kind of went back and forth. And anyway, our emails crossed, but basically they are going to come and speak to the commission in January now. So transportation is a real issue, especially because we don't have a lot of options in certain parts of the county. I do know Metro Transit is actually bringing service back to Mercy South, but we are still lacking in a lot of areas. I also do know that Metro Transit has actually started a new ADA advisory committee, and they are just getting to work right now and setting up their policies, and those meetings will be open to the public, probably starting in March.
This is Ed James. What I would like to do is, like I said, to invite you to our December the 9th meeting. And also, if you can share some information with us on the locations that you underserved, and we can bring those issues up at our meeting also. And dealing with how they do in other cities, if you can send us that information, we can see if we can get that on our agenda also, to give us some information about, what other people are doing and how they are coping with certain situations. So this is my way of introducing myself as the chair of the Transportation Committee. I've been on it 1 year, and I'm learning. And groups like this can help, lighten the learning curve. So I look forward to working with you and each of us sharing information, see what we can do better for St. Louis County.
I will be happy to send that information over. I do have quite a bit of information on what's done in other cities. Basically, CAA, the Community Transportation Association of America, just sent a really good article out about paratransit stories, and also I have some information about use of what they call deviated microtransit, which is basically microtransit, except that if you have a disability, rather than walking to a specific location, you can be picked up and dropped off, and it is a more on-demand service. The other thing I do want to share is that recently the FTA has put out a letter that basically says that on-demand service is actually a more comparable service to fixed route. So I will get that letter to you as well.
Now, you are aware that the Bi-State and St. Louis County participate in the Call a Ride program,
Yes.
which is basically something like you just mentioned. And maybe we can get you all in touch with Mr. Chuck Stewart from Bi-State, and he can share some of their ideas and problems, in the Call a Ride program. I think right now it's working probably best it has in a couple of years. But they are coming back, and I think that maybe a presentation from them to your commission would be valuable.
I personally am in touch with them, and they have increased quite a bit of what they were in the past, which is good. I'm definitely not opposed to that. And I will say that I have been working with another group called SMART, the St. Louis Metropolitan Alliance for Reliable Transit. And we have gone to several board meetings within at Metro, and we have also started issuing quarterly report cards for them just to let them know where they're doing. So I am familiar with qualified, and it is a lot better, but I think one of the things that we're lacking in St. Louis County is having demand transportation, because you can't always plan ahead for situations. And Steve Harris and I've been talking and trying to figure some things out and some alternatives.
Yeah, we are familiar with the SMART group, and we have asked or presented some of our questions to Bi-State concerning their report card. So if you can, I don't like to have too much information on my table because it's weighing down, but I would like to see what you all have, and we can present this to Bi-State at our meetings. The only thing we need to do is get it on our agenda, and once it's on the agenda, it will be addressed. So share it with me, and we see what we can do with it.
May I ask a question? This is Cheryl Rose. Mr. James, does your Transportation Commission only deal with issues involving Bi-State?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, it seemed like recently, like the majority of our commission is brand new, let's put it that way, and we're still learning a lot of the ropes. We are dealing with Bi-State. We also have to deal with St. Louis County roads and roads. And these are issues that we are starting to get into. Like I said, it's a learning curve for us, and I think information that you can share that, we can bring to the table will help, lighten that learning curve for us. It would give us something to really look into, as opposed to just the transportation side of it. So any suggestions you got, share them with me, and we can talk and see if we can get them on our agenda.
This is Robin. I would really appreciate that. And if you would leave your email address, and I will email you all the information that I have that I've collected. I've actually been working on these issues myself before I was on the commission for the past 2 years. So I can send you a lot of information.
I would appreciate it because we know transportation is vital, but we're not aware of a lot of the issues dealing with transportation in St. Louis County. We hear about it on the news, but generally we only hear bad parts on the news, and what we're trying to do is to make sure that the good words get out there, and we have to address it. Dana has my contact information, so Dana, can you share that with your members, please?
Absolutely, Robin, I'll send you that.
All right, that would be great. I appreciate it. And I will get that information to you as soon as I can. I have quite a bit I can collect that I can send.
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm not going to say it's no rush because every day is a rush. But let's get it. Let's go over it. Let's see how we can help each other on it. And we can bring issues to our table that affects your organization, and you can bring issues to your table that would help and affect our organization. So I think it's we just got to work together on this.
I absolutely agree.
I just want to give Steve Harris an opportunity. Does Steve want to add anything to this?
Well, the only thing I was looking at was with Coloride, they seem to be improving. I mean, I don't use them personally regularly, but it seems like they've been making great strides. But underlining the fact that Robin already brought it up, that one of the issues is on-demand transportation. So Coloride, it's all parts of a puzzle piece that need to fit together to kind of complete the entire transportation choices for people with disabilities. So a lot of it's already been covered, and I know I was kind of thinking Via might be here because I had some questions for them personally, but um, so I think, I know they're not providing much different from what they have in the past, but I'd like to see, I would hope that in the future we could get some improvements for coverage for them, but um, I don't have much else to add from what's already been covered.
Again, I appreciate your input. The call on demand, we always thought that call on demand was the same as a caller ride. And now I'm hearing something a little bit different, and we're going to see how we can address it a little bit different as opposed to it's a caller ride issue.
Yeah, caller ride is you have to plan. You can only book no sooner than 20. You have to be 1 day or 1 to 3 days ahead of your trip to book a caller ride. My experience, at least in the past, I know they've gotten better, is when I've tried to use them for calls for rides, it's very iffy whether I can get one or not to get to my work. So it's been very hit or miss with them. So hopefully they're getting better, and find out in the coming months probably.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for
Artist
Baxter, but I
first.
know that. I'm sorry.
At Artist First, we're still seeing an inconsistency with who is able to get caller ride and who is not able to get caller ride. There doesn't seem to be a uniform consistency.
And what I'm suggest is that you bring those issues up with Mr. Stewart, because I know part of the issues has been drivers and the reservation system, and I'm under the impression that they're in the process of upgrading their reservation system, and they have hiring events a couple of times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, where they're trying to get new bus drivers, train drivers, and caller ride operators. And I know that's a work in progress, but I would suggest that on the caller ride issues in terms of availability and issues like that, I think we should get Mr. Stewart involved in that, or someone from Bi-State involved in that, because that's basically their issue, and I really don't want to speak for them.
This is Robin. I just want to let you know that Art and myself, through another organization that I work with, we've been working with Mr. Stewart and Mr. Roach for quite a while now, which one of the results has been that they did get new software. This week, they're doing testing on that software with some of the riders. Some of the differences are going to be that you can actually online and a couple of other things. There are some other issues with it. Just so you know what the difference between caller ride is and deviated microtransit. Caller ride, like Steve said, is a paratransit service where you have to book at least 1 to 3 days in advance. It is a shared ride service. It is typically the cost of like bus fare is the most that they can charge. You do have to book in advance, and they have different rules than what deviated microtransit is. Via is a microtransit program. and it partners with Metro, but on a very limited basis, because basically Metro is using it to get people to their transit stations in the event that they want to ride the bus from there. So it's not actually serving the whole community, just very small parts of the community, and you cannot cross zones. It doesn't have the same rules as paratransit, but they do deviated microtransit. The only difference to that and regular microtransit is regular microtransit, you have to walk to a specific place to pick up your van. When you do deviated microtransit, it's a little bit different. And just to give you a little background, and I'll send all of this to you. But also, Steve, I do want to let you know that VIA will be here in January. So we can get some more questions answered then.
Yeah, I noticed I had to download a new app for them, so I thought that was the change that was happening, but
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing all this information. Mr. James, can Robin and Steve be added to your agenda for December's meeting?
Yes, I will get you on the agenda for December the 9th. Our meetings are at 4 o'clock though.
All right. Thank you very much.
And I will, once our agenda is approved and everything, I will get a copy of that to Dana.
Yes, and just make sure you communicate with Dana so you have all the information. Cheryl Rose has a question.
Yes. One issue that our commission has been dealing with that does not deal with color ride is accessible taxi service. Color ride will help people here in the city, but if you're a visitor coming to St. Louis, you have nothing other than that one company. And so Steve and I did meet with the taxi commission, and he shared with them, he didn't do it today, but he shared with them some ideas that other cities are doing, which is putting a $3 attachment to each ride and using that
Good yourself.
and using that.
Please.
Sorry about that. Let me turn that off. I'm sorry about that.
So Cheryl,
Okay, and then using that money to help taxi companies purchase and maintain wheelchair accessible vehicles and compensate to drivers for the extra time that it takes. They're not getting paid for. And they indicated that this is something that it could maybe be a possibility, but it would have to also include Lyft and Uber since they're in direct competition, and indicated that to do something like this require county to be involved. And that was originally why I went to your last meeting to talk about that, but I wasn't called upon or given an opportunity to say anything. So I just want to put this bug in your ear too, that this is another issue that we would like to discuss with the Transportation Commission.
and Chicago is a good example of having accessible taxi service. It's if you want to contact them. And it's been a long time issue of no accessible taxi. Long time ago, in the late 80s, we discussed it. I worked for AmeriCorps. And we had something started back then, and I don't know what happened to it. But this has been an ongoing situation of not having the taxi service, including Lyft and Uber, provided some access to their service. So hopefully, Robin and Steve can be added on the agenda, not just talk about bi-state, but also talk about private accessible taxi service.
This is Steve again. I'm gonna chime in just a little, if I can. Unfortunately, the Lyft and the Uber and all that, the state is really the one that's kind of put the taxi cab companies into a bind, because the state has basically given the county or the local governments any way to regulate that industry. So I'm not sure what the county can do. I mean, if they have to impact doing that, that'd be great. But the the state has pretty much put the cab companies in a non-competitive situation where they have to deal with all these regulations that Uber and Lyft don't have to deal with. They've got to deal with, more um, binding things that create a competitive imbalance. So I think that's the problem that the cab companies have at this point.
This is Robin. I want to comment on what Steve said. That is a big problem, and why a lot of communities have gone to things like the deviated microtransit with on demand, because there are a couple of issues that come up with services like Uber and Lyft. One of them being service animal denials, and the other is that they are not as reliable as they always should be. Another service that I've kind of really been pushing, typically actually partners with the local transit system, is a company called Zurv. Their specialty is actually transportation. It's basically a rideshare company that deals with people who are disabled. They do actually provide wave vehicles, but all of their drivers are actually trained in ADA. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. But definitely when we go to the meeting, we will talk about both the lack of accessible taxis and not just focus on Metro, but on just trying to find some better options so that people in St. Louis County have better ways to get around. And I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Robin and Steve. I believe you gave Mr. James a lot of information, as well as share about the private taxi service. It's, so we'll move on to the guardianship process. Is there any update on that, Luke?
I haven't had much update. I know Gabrielle and I were going to try to meet. We haven't been successful in that. I do know that there was some stuff that I'm a little bit unsure of, particularly as it relates to the public guardianship, sort of the public administrator stuff, as well as some of the diversion programs within the county prosecutor / judicial system.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking that we're probably going to have to receive information from people within those offices, I'm thinking.
Would it be from some of the administrative office to make a presentation?
I feel like that might be helpful.
Can I suggest that you might distill down what your questions are first, and we see if we can get those answered?
Well, I would say give us an update on the new guardianship process and the disability condition. Would like to get feedback, what's working, what's not working. Is
I don't, I'm not following. The new guardianship.
an update on the guardianship process, and the commission, after listening to it, would provide any feedback, update, feedback on what's working.
Which
The thing
office are you trying to get that information?
I know the Guardian had Lightem. I know the administrator. With the
I
public
think
administrator.
what's new in the guardianship process that's different from last year, and have input from the disability commission? If there's a concern.
Is there a new process?
So, so it's hard for us to know how it all works because there's different pieces with these different offices and the ways that these different pieces and offices interact. I know the DOJ ruling came out a few years ago saying that those with disabilities should be in community-based settings whenever possible and things, and that guardianship had played a role in kind of preventing that. And so it's hard for me to really understand how this stuff plays into effect without really hearing from, hey, what does these offices do? How does this work? Because I feel like we're talking about stuff, but I don't really understand it's because I understand it in big picture, but I don't really understand the or the administrative kind of busy stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Okay, why don't you get with Jay, and sort of come up with some questions to the public administrative office, and then maybe early spring we can invite them. So I don't know. I heard that there's a different process. I don't know what that is. I see that Steve's got his hand up. Steve? See,
I just wanna,
Oh, yeah, I forgot to put it down, actually. Sorry.
Sue Orton had shared the, presentation that was for the Governor's Council on Disability regarding the types of guardianship and alternatives to guardianship. I don't know if that would maybe be a good resource for those who are wondering about the process, the different types.
so that was sent to all of the members. Okay. So review that, look, you and Gabriel can come up with some questions before we invite the public administrative office.
Dana, can you resend that out? Because I don't think I got that.
Yes, I'll resend that to you, Luke.
Okay. Asterisk. Bold. Okay, thank you. So we're going on to new business. And all of you know, we just had a election, and I was working on Tuesday, and I got a request for curbside voting. There was no telephone numbers, there's no designated spot. So I went inside, told them there was 2 people that were requesting it. There was no problem of getting the 2 judges out to them. Just somehow the idea of a telephone number for some polling sites that were actually a designated spot that the curbside could drive in, kind of like a drive-in type situation. So I know Cheryl had some experience with that too. You want to?
Okay. couple of different things. Because I have a handicap accessible van, I offer to drive people in wheelchairs to vote. I ended up taking 6 people. 2 wanted to go inside and the other 4 wanted to vote curbside. At some of the polling places, there were signs that said curbside voting and, park here. And there were already people out there, so I didn't have to go in. But in some cases, I did go in. What I found is that when I took 2 people probably early, so on Tuesday, the first person I took to a church that was near my house. People came out really quickly. They asked, they got personal, taken care of. They asked her if she knew about being able to apply for permanent absentee voting, that she could vote from home. She did not. They went in, they got an application. They helped her fill it out. And, she was taken care of. And I just feel like that should be routine. They should be offering that to everybody who comes to curbside voting. People may not choose it, but it would certainly take them, 2 extra minutes. And it would eventually save them a lot of time and effort if those people voted from home instead of using curbside voting. None of the people that I took knew about permanent absentee voting. They didn't know about it. And I know the county has put out information about it. I don't know if there are other things that can be done, but no, they didn't know.
I think those, the guy that talks about that, they need to be in libraries. And if they're in libraries, for example, if you belong to a church, you have a bunch, share that with your congregation. So I think they're out there, but not distributed enough to get to people.
Right, but I mean, people can request those. I just don't, and I know the county has put out, I know in the stuff that they send out, they talk about that. I don't know if people don't read it. I don't know if there could be some service announcements. Those cost money, I realize. I don't know what else could be done, but out of 6 people, 1 guy knew about it. Use it this time, but the others did not know.
And I wonder if the senior centers, senior centers should.
But these are people who don't get out. They don't go, one couple, they know they can't get out. They're pretty much stuck at home.
Yeah, I think it's got to get to the community, and I wonder if council people should have that information. So if they get a call from their constituent, they have that information. The city, the order person should have that information, so they can give it to their constituents. I think it's distribution. As you know, you can give them the information, and some people don't read it, some people ignore it. So I don't think it's out there, it's the distribution.
But at least when somebody comes to curbside voting, it should be routinely, the forms should be routinely given. I did ask for a form for one person at the place. They finally found one. The person who came out to the car didn't know anything about it. But so, that just needs to be added, I think, to their training.
Well, I like to follow up with an email on it. Point out what my experience has been. talk about or distribution. I'm doing medicine. I was expensive to put that guy together. So maybe they would get more out of their money if they distribute them. So look at them. They can't.
I sent them to everybody.
Right, and I remember I reported out in October, they got almost 19,000 signups after sending out that mailer. When they mailed the voter information, they mailed.
Oh, and 19,000 people requested,
Permanent absentee, and this was new signups after they sent that mailing out.
Yeah, it was in there, 'cause I got it.
so, yeah, so I mean, clearly it is. I'm not sure why these people didn't know. It just, if it had been one, it would have been just a fluke, but it was like, I. And I was just kind of mystified, but if they're offered it at the poll when they go, then the next time they don't have to,
But if they lose that,
if they choose.
yeah. But I'm glad people felt it important enough to, somehow I heard about curbside voting.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I asked, do you want to do curbside or do you? So I don't know for sure if they all had heard of curbside voting or not. I really don't know.
Okay, all right, yeah, I think they will pay it as much as they can, but we have the election protection coalition people rotating in different sites. And I knew a few of them that stopped by the site that I was at, and they told me it was inconsistent. It said some places had a designated spot that you could drive up to, but there was no such thing. Somebody said there was a phone number, but at my site, there was no phone number.
I didn't see any phone.
And so if I had been staying where I was staying, I'm sure the person would have asked somebody if I was staying with me. I was pretty visible, so they asked me about her side.
I did read that in the city, because of some suit from the DOJ, they had to have buzzers.
I said,
Buzzers.
oh, buses.
Buzzers. But you know, the number of county, it'd be cheaper for the county to have a number than to go with buzzers at every place.
I will follow up with the email because Sue Morton put it out on the next door app. She got some negative comment. There's no such thing as I waited. So, and that was, I don't know if that was before or after or during early voting. I don't know that part. But I think I'm gonna follow up with some consistency for the future election. Please have a phone number, designated spot that's invisible to the judges inside, because when at the door, they had this designated area. It was not a door that you could look at.
Well, but some of them, like the Millennium Center, you're upstairs. There's no way that they could see somebody. So, you know, curbside voting. And I don't know if that's a regular polling place or it was just an early voting. I mean,
I know the MSC is a regular polling place now.
the what?
It is a regular polling place.
Okay.
That
So
is
there's,
that is the polling place that is on the UMSL campus. That is a regular polling place. They've used it for years now. They've used it since I know like 2016, 2018. They've used it for I do know too, some of the comments that Sue Orton got on Nextdoor was echoed by Eric Fay and Rick Stream. And some of the election supervisors were even saying the same stuff. So I think it's probably wise to relook at the training manual, word for word, and double check a lot of that stuff for this stuff.
Well, and I guess too, for if there are places like where curbside voting really isn't a good option, maybe that should be specified in the list when they make their list that they print out. So people can go to another polling place.
Maybe curbside voting should be just designated at certain open
Or whatever.
So this is Dana. I just want to note, response to some of these comments. Now, the Department of Justice only requires that you make a reasonable modification to help people to vote. They don't require curbside voting. They don't have any requirements around, specifics of what curbside voting would look like. It's to be used as potentially a reasonable modification. You have to make modifications to make sure that people can vote. The Missouri law regarding voting says that if you're within 200 feet of the polling place and you have a disability and because of that are unable to enter the polling place, that you can request that the election authority assign you to a different polling location that you can enter, or you can ask to vote within 200 feet of. So there's not a lot of information or specifics about curbside. Curbside isn't even used in that law, but it is required to be available to any voter at any polling location in Missouri to vote outside. There's just not a lot of shit about how.
Yeah. So what you're saying is St. Louis County has done made the extra effort to try to make this work.
So, I think there was some talk about like the doorbells that the city was using. I think those are something that are to be used at locations where someone cannot physically enter. Maybe there's only stairs, for example. We don't have locations like that in the county where someone should not be able to get inside physically. And we can't have any locations where there's not curbside because Missouri law states that if a voter is unable to come inside, that they can vote within 200 feet. But logistically, it makes a hard time, right? If people were early voting, we had maybe 100 people in line. If everyone wanted to vote their vehicle, where are they parking? Where are they pulling up? There's just not room at most of these locations.
That's why I wonder if curbside should be, like we have the opportunity to vote to any site in county. So maybe to make it run smoothly, is to designate certain sites offer curbside. So and that site will be playing, make it go smoothly.
I'm not a lawyer, but it looked like that law is written for Missouri. That would be allowed.
But what they could do is say, for curbside voting, we suggest you use these sites.
Right, like they've suggested to use the Northwest Crossing because they do have permanently designated parking spaces there that are just for curbside service.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, several of the places that I took people, they had signs out and people could pull right up to the door.
But it was inconsistent. Some
Right, but at a place they did not have signs. It's just
and
incorrect.
I heard that St. Johns County would vote side. Yes, so with my friend, that lives out, she had to go to the site that she was assigned to.
You could go to any site, yeah, and that's,
And
I don't know, we should pass these on, and I also, if there's a way to maybe legal or line copy her, because I saw her and she was interested to know what comments we had. She works for the,
now,
I don't know, just
I can see, or I think Dan had all my information. I just work with Dan as well, the emails and stuff. Okay, thank you. We're moving on to 25 meeting dates and location. Do we want to continue with the second Monday of each month at 1 o'clock at this site? I would like to say there's a lot of you that I haven't met face to face. I would like to add that if you could at least come in 2025 once, face to face. Be nice if it was twice, but it's open to discussion. Number one question is, do you want to continue at the site with hybrid setup? So any comment of the second Monday, 1
And-
o'clock?
And in 2025, have we checked the November date? Because I know historically we've sometimes had to meet on the third Monday in November.
Correct, correct. Exception, but typically we're able to meet the second Monday. Any comment? If I don't hear of any,
Fine with me.
I'm requesting if we can.
Same as-
It's fine with me.
Go ahead. Luke, are you trying to say something?
I said, if you're trying to keep it kind of similar to the meeting times, the kind of the meeting times that we had this year, I think that's probably fine by a lot of us.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm only requesting that you will make a face-to-face meeting at least once. I know, since we talk about it a lot, that transportation is a big issue. So I'm just requesting once that you would come to the site for a meeting. It's the only request I'm making. I can't force you, but that's my request as the chair. Josh?
Yeah, I'll try and make it in 2025. It'll probably be closer to May or June when the weather's nicer.
And that's fine, you know, that's fine. I'm not saying where, just
Right, right.
make an effort once a year, face to face. And I won't go in. So, okay, we'll keep it at second Monday of each month, 1 o'clock, exception of November that we have to check with Veterans Day, and no meetings in December. Yes.
Veterans Day will be on Tuesday, 11. Monday is the 10th.
Oh, you've already left. Oh, so we don't have that issue for 25, okay. And, We don't meet on Mondays. We don't meet in December, July.
31494.
On August, is that the 3 months we don't meet?
That's what you've typically done.
Okay. Is there any public comments? At the end of the report?
And will you send out the dates in 2025, kind of the rough dates?
Yes, Dan, we'll do that. Once the meeting plans are done. So the annual report. I hope if you want to take the time to review it by January, please make your comments to Dana. But basically, we need to take a look at our meetings and see what we accomplished.
Since last year.
Right, but what to do. Last year, well, that's 23. So 24, we need to take a look. How much? Absolutely.
So you'll let us know, either you're gonna write this up or I am, but we're gonna get together what people's goals are, accomplishments they'd like to highlight.
Well, we could take the time.
So this has.
I'm going to start off by saying, is there a new goal? I think a lot of our goals will continue. Still dealing with transportation, still dealing with the universal design. Is there a new goal that we should be working on?
Guardianship. A guardianship.
But, yeah. So add information. What do we want to know about? Well,
I remember, I don't remember the specifics, but Luke and Gabriella brought up issues about guardianship at this meeting, which is why they were going to be looking into it.
that's why I think we can add it. I think what the verbiage is what is it to give feedback and show what we're doing, because it's already.
What's in the minutes?
Gabriella had suggested that it could be possible to maybe come up with an Olmsted plan and suggest that to various groups. And then feedback for an Olmsted plan. But she and Luke were gonna confer and back to us. We haven't given her.
Okay, so. Well, that we're going to. Say.
So these were what the goals were for 2024. Present the universal design ordinance proposal to the County Council Committee on Disabilities for approval and be presented to the full council for a vote. Continue collaboration with the County Older Adult Commission on the adoption of the universal design ordinance. Continue advocacy for the appointment to fill their vacancies on the Commission on Disabilities. Collaborate with the County Board of Elections regarding training for new and existing poll workers on access. Advocate for a policy to allow virtual or written public comment at council meetings for individuals with disabilities. Advocate for the expansion of the availability of accessible taxi services and continue to advocate for an individual with a disability to be appointed to the Metropolitan Taxi Cab Commission. Continue to update the transportation matrix and research other data sources for transportation options. Collaborate with other agencies regarding public transportation options for individuals with disabilities. And advocate for an increase in affordable housing.
Well, I could do this, I can draft, taking some of this language. That's why I was asking, is there a new goal? If it's a new goal, it's mentioned guardianship, but I don't know. What are we doing with guardianship? So I think that needs to, until we have some language, what process we want to take, I'm not sure.
I think you could also add in that we will, we'll be working with the mission on transportation.
Yes. See, I'm thinking we can, yes. We can just be eyes. I would draft something with the government. To Dana, if you have any, and what I'm going to do is kind of tweak the language because a lot of this stuff will continue.
So my memory's not so good. Did we ever present the 2024 report to the committee on disabilities?
Sent it to Lisa.
I don't remember if we met with.
Did we send it to Lisa? I thought we sent it to Lisa.
The annual report for each of the county commissions goes to the county executive and to the county. I don't know that there's any kind of presentation.
We usually send it to the chair of the table, but they had us present the report face to face. I don't remember it. We did it and tied up the UD stuff, so I don't remember. So do you recall that?
I'm not aware of it.
Well, what Anna seems to be saying is that that's not required.
Oh, it's not required, it was something that you did as an extra.
Oh,
We didn't do it. We just, but like she said, presented to Kathy this time. If the disabled committee wanted us to present,
okay.
so I would tweak this a little bit. And if there's a new goal, look at with Gabriel, if there's a new goal that you want to work on 25, I need some language for that.
It just basic, review guardianship use within St. Louis County and make necessary recommendations or something like that is kind of the basic language that I said we could use as a placeholder.
Okay. Any other comments on that? I don't see or hear any. So do we have a public comments?
We don't have any questions for the comment today.
Okay. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
So I guess it's January 13th at 1:00 at this location. Happy holiday, all of you. Thank you for attending the meeting. I heard someone, is someone trying to say something? Stephanie just got
Yeah, I've been here. I've been here. I just wanted to say thank you and happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Okay, well, thank you, Stephanie, for coming. Happy holidays. See you in January. Stay healthy.
Happy
Bye,
holidays.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Linda, when I was talking with Craig, he's racing aquarium.